In New York City, a guy named Hoffman walks into a restaurant. Soon after, a car pulls up and a corporate company's CEO, McVie, steps inside. He sits across from Hoffman. Once an employee of McVie's company, Optimo, Hoffman now carries a file filled with evidence of their wrongdoings. After being threatened by Optimo's henchmen, he's decided to return the file, but not without protection. Hoffman warns McVie that his associate holds a copy, ready to expose everything if he's harmed or followed. McVie, calm and calculating, begins to examine the file. At Hoffman's request, they take a photo together to confirm the handoff for his associate. With the deal complete, McVie leaves with the file, and Hoffman exits soon after. Outside, a man tails Hoffman into a taxi. He pulls out a telecommunications device for the deaf and sends a coded message. Hoffman arrives at the train station, buys a ticket, and boards safely while the man watches from a distance. That man is Ash, Hoffman's associate. His role is to act as a fixer, mediating between whistleblowers and the corporations they expose. Back at his office, Ash receives a message from Optimo confirming the file's return and the payoff delivered. He then heads to his secure warehouse in Newark, locking the Optimo documents inside a vault. A final message from Hoffman arrives, thanking Ash and confirming he reached his destination unharmed. Ash listens, then pulls out older case files and burns them in the fire. In another part of the city, a woman named Sarah walks into a law firm to meet with an attorney. She explains that she once worked at a company called Cybo Siementes Research Institutes. During her time there, she discovered a file that documented the dangerous side effects of their genetically modified wheat. When she raised the issue with her senior, they dismissed her concerns, and soon after she was fired for minor infractions. Now she carries a copy of that report and intends to go public with it. However, after receiving threats from the company, she has decided to return the report. She insists that she needs a legal channel to protect herself from retaliation. The attorney tells her that his firm does not handle such cases, but he knows of an unofficial channel that does. He gives her the contact information and explains that it is a completely anonymous service. All she needs to do is send a message with her number, and they will call her back. Sarah moves to a new place, hides the report, and then takes out her phone to make the call. In another scene, Ash attends an Alcoholics Anonymous meeting where a woman named Wash shares her story as the group listens. Later, Ash returns to his office and hears Sarah's message. He goes to a cyber cafe to research her, making sure the information she provided is genuine. Sarah soon receives a call from the Tri-State Relay Service. They explain that the person contacting her may be deaf, so he will type his message, and the relay employee will read it aloud to her while typing back her responses. The conversation will remain confidential. Through this channel, Ash sends all the information he has gathered about her. The relay employee conveys the message, and Ash asks Sarah to explain her situation. She describes the reports she possesses and the harassment she has endured. She reveals that her car was even set on fire as intimidation. Terrified, she is now living in hiding. Ash asks if she has involved the police, but she admits she has not. He then asks if the company offered her any deal. She says they did, but she refused at the time. Ash tells her not to accept any new deal and assures her that they will speak to the company on her behalf. He instructs her to buy a new phone, turn it on only in public places, and send him a message with her new address and number. Sarah asks if it is safe to go outside since a van is parked nearby. Ash warns her that they may be tapping her calls. He tells her that from now on, they will only communicate through her new phone, and she must hang up immediately after each call. Outside in a surveillance van, four people listen to Sarah's conversation and trace the call. Their leader, Dawson, takes Rossetti with him to investigate. They arrive at the Tri-State Relay office, posing as officials from the Revenue Department. The supervisor firmly refuses their request, explaining that the service cannot reveal the origin of any message because it is protected by law. They do not keep call records or logs, and that confidentiality is strictly enforced. Meanwhile, Sarah goes to a public place and sends Ash the information he requested. At his warehouse, Ash receives her message. He gathers several mobile phones and returns to his office. Soon, Sarah receives another call from the relay service. Through it, Ash explains that after reviewing her case, they have decided to help her return the report while keeping leverage against the company. However, he tells her that she must provide a $50,000 cash deposit, which will be returned once a deal is struck. Sarah agrees. Ash then warns her that she will receive unusual instructions and must follow them precisely. He sets up a coded system for their future calls. Whenever he asks credit or debit, she must reply, check. Ash positions himself across from her apartment and prepares a package. Sarah receives it and finds 2 phones along with detailed instructions. She is told to prepare 2 envelopes containing the money, the report, a copy of her identification, and her photographs. She completes the envelope with the money. Ash calls her through the relay service and begins with the secret code.
Credit or debit?
Check.
Once confirmed, he instructs her to fly to Pittsburgh and then take a connecting flight to Atlanta with the envelope. He tells her that once she arrives in Pittsburgh, she must switch on the phone marked with red tape. After the call ends, Sarah asks the relay workers to call him back because she has forgotten part of the instruction, but they explain that the caller requested no return calls. Sarah arrives at the airport, unaware that Dawson and his team are following her. Ash is also present in disguise. She boards the flight and lands in Pittsburgh. Ash purchases a bag from a shop and takes it to the Lost Property Service, claiming he found it near the restroom. He shows them the name tag with Sarah's details. He then calls Sarah through the relay service. As she answers, an announcement is made about the missing bag with her name. Ash tells her to ignore the announcement and wait for further instructions. Dawson arrives to investigate, but Ash directs Sarah to the post office to mail the 2 packages. Dawson hears a boarding call for Sarah's flight and rushes to the gate with his teammates, but she is nowhere to be found. Realizing they have been compromised, Dawson grows frustrated while Ash secretly photographs him. Rossetti continues to follow Sarah and informs the others when she enters the post office. Sarah mails the 2 envelopes to separate locations exactly as Ash instructed. She then provides him with the tracking numbers. Afterward, she discards the receipt in a garbage bin. Rossetti retrieves it, while Ash takes another photograph of her. The agents return to their office. Lee explains that Pittsburgh Airport is the only airport with a post office, which is why Sarah was sent there. Because of that, they cannot interfere directly. They begin tracking the packages. Sarah receives another call through the relay service. Ash tells her that they will now attempt to negotiate a deal on her behalf. He warns her that if the company contacts her directly, she must not speak to them. He also instructs her to destroy her old phone because it has been compromised. Agent Ryan goes to one of the post offices and installs a hidden camera to see who collects the package, but nobody arrives. At another post office, Rossetti tries to claim a package by pretending it belongs to her friend. She knows the tracking number but says she has lost the key. The postman refuses, explaining that without proper authorization it is impossible. Rossetti then pleads, mentioning her dog's health problems, and asks him at least to check if the package has arrived. The postman checks and confirms that it has not. As she leaves, he adds that if her friend has recently moved, the package may have been forwarded, and in that case the tracking number would no longer apply because it would be handled by a different service. Meanwhile, Ash collects the 2 packages Sarah mailed. He contacts the Cybo Cemente's office through the relay service. When no one answers, he leaves a message stating that he has their report and that Sarah wishes to return it. He makes it clear that negotiations will take place through him. Ash then places a phone on the windshield of the agent's van. Inside, they listen to the message he sent. Suddenly, the phone rings. They find it on the windshield and answer. Through the relay service, Ash begins speaking to them. He orders them to stop harassing his client. To prove he has the report, he recites a passage from one of its pages. He tells them that the report will be returned, but only in exchange for $500,000 in cash. He assures them that the transition will be smooth, but warns that he will keep a copy to guarantee Sarah's safety. Finally, he instructs them to move their van. Reluctantly, the agents comply. Sarah watches from her window and smiles as the van drives away. When Ash calls her, she thanks him for forcing them to leave. He tells her she can now go outside without fear. He sets a routine. Every day at 6 o'clock she must call him. If something happens, she should say, weather. If nothing happens, she should say, all right. Their conversations begin to include casual remarks, and Ash starts to feel a connection with her. Later, Ash meets Wash, his sponsor at Alcoholics Anonymous. She asks him what kind of work he does. He struggles to explain, saying only that it is legal but dangerous. Soon after, Dawson calls. He tells Ash that the company has agreed to the terms and explains how they will deliver the money. He provides an address and says the payment will be mailed by priority service. The agents hide a tracker inside the bag with the cash. Sarah enjoys her freedom, walking outside while Ash keeps watch in disguise. Dawson sends him the tracking number. Ash then visits his deaf friend and asks him to create a forged identity. Ash sits alone in his place, listening to Hoffman's message. The words remind him of his own isolation and the regrets he carries. He spends time researching the company and studying Sarah's profile. Later, in his office, he notices that Sarah has not sent her usual message. Concerned, he goes to her apartment. She wasn't there either. He decides to call her, disguising his voice through the relay service on his own phone, and asks if she is alright. Sarah apologizes, saying she simply forgot. She then asks about his personal life and whether he feels lonely. Ash tells her to keep their communication minimal, but she insists on continuing the conversation. She asks if his work ever fails. He admits that sometimes clients withdraw or fail to follow instructions, but assures her that if she does as he says, everything will be fine. The agents, still tapping her phone, notice a new number. As they attempt to trace it, Ash switches the phone off. Later, he goes to the post office and claims he is moving to Europe. He requests that his mail be forwarded to his cousin, giving Sarah's name as the forwarding contact. One day, the agents call Ash and demand the missing 16 pages from the file. They insist he deliver them immediately because the company is about to finalize a major merger. Ash checks the file in his warehouse and then calls Sarah. She admits she did not think those pages were important. He tells her the agents want them as well. Sarah begins to cry and promises to return them. She asks if she can hand them over the same way as before, but Ash says that would take too much time. He goes to Times Square and sends her instructions. At a particular newsstand, she must place the pages under the second stack of papers on the left. Sarah follows the directions. Dawson and his team are already there, watching the newsstand through a camera. Ash notices a man buying a paper and quickly purchases one from behind him. When he checks, the pages are missing. He sees Ryan harassing the man but realizes the file is not there. Ash calls Sarah again and asks where she placed the pages. She admits she may have put them in the wrong spot because she was rushed. She promises to retrieve them. Ash warns her that it may already be too late because she is being followed. Sarah apologizes and pleads with him not to abandon her. Ash spots a beggar nearby and devises a plan. She storms into the newsstand, throwing papers in a tantrum. Dawson rushes to intervene. She hands them to Ash in exchange for money, and he runs off before Dawson arrives. The agents capture footage of him, but the frame is unclear. Ash calls the agents directly. He tells them that he now has the complete report and will release it to the public if they continue harassing his client. Dawson apologizes and agrees to proceed with the transaction. He says the exchange will take place with the CEO and Sarah present, and provides the time and location. Ash then calls Sarah. She apologizes again, but he tells her that he has recovered the pages and warns her to follow instructions carefully or they will abandon the deal. He prepares an envelope containing the report. By now, the agents have lost track of their money bag because too many days have passed and the tracker's battery has died. Ash books a table in a restaurant and sees the package arrive. As he listens to the client's message, he hears Hoffman's voice once more, filled with regret. Hoffman laments returning the file, knowing that Optimo will walk free again and continue destroying lives. Ash sits in the alcoholics meeting and begins to share his story. He explains that even though he's a Muslim, he first turned to drinking as a way to fit into society. After the events of 9/11, life became increasingly difficult for him as a Muslim. Later, he found work on Wall Street, where he uncovered evidence of corporate wrongdoing. When he tried to report it to his superior, he was dismissed and ignored. Instead, he was offered money to remain silent, a decision that continues to haunt him with regret. After the meeting, Ash returns to work. He instructs Sarah to collect the mail and then heads to a restaurant to prepare for the exchange. He tells the agents that the CEO must be present during the handoff and insists that they will keep a copy of the report to ensure Sarah's safety. He adds that after the exchange, they must take a photo together to confirm the deal. On the day of the exchange, Ash waits across the street from the restaurant, but no one arrives. He calls Sarah, but there is no answer. Concerned, he goes to her apartment, only to find it empty. There, he discovers a message from her. In it, Sarah explains that the agents contacted her directly. Using facial recognition, they identified him in Times Square and claimed to know his true identity. She urges him to run, blaming herself, and says she will handle the exchange alone. She reveals that it will take place at a public concert and provides the address. Her message ends with a note of gratitude, thanking him for everything he has done. Ash races to the concert hall. He buys a ticket, passes through security, and enters, scanning the crowd for Sarah. From a balcony, he searches until he spots her. He calls her phone, but she does not answer. As he sees the agents moving in, he pulls the fire alarm and breaks a piece of glass. Amid the chaos of the evacuation, he pushes through the crowd and attacks Ryan. He then reaches Sarah and proves his identity by speaking their secret code. He takes her backstage and leads her out of the building. To disguise her, he gives her a jacket and a cap. He explains that the agents manipulated her and that the identity they claimed to know is false. He warns her to go into hiding and to keep the papers close. Together, they board a taxi. Ash advises her to use cash only so that she cannot be tracked, and he provides her with a forged identity. During the ride, Sarah asks his real name. He tells her it is Ashraf. She then asks if she has been his worst client. For a moment, they grow closer, almost on the verge of a kiss, but Ash opens the door instead and lets her leave. He watches as she boards a train and departs safely. Afterward, Ash goes to a restaurant and makes a call to the agents. He declares that he will now go public and ensure that they never find Sarah or him again. He hangs up, leaving them with no further leverage. A few minutes later, Ash receives a call from Sarah. As he prepares to warn her not to use that phone, he is stunned to hear Dawson's voice instead. Dawson tells him how satisfying it feels to finally speak to him. He reveals that Sarah is in their custody and hands her the phone. Ash hears her crying. He threatens Dawson, saying he will go public with the documents, but Dawson dismisses the warning. He insists that Ash has no leverage and demands that he lead them to the place where the file is kept. Ash refuses, claiming he has another client, but Dawson tells him he has no choice and hangs up. Ash sits in a bar, tempted to drink, but stops himself. He sends a message to his sponsor, Wash, asking for help. He then calls Dawson and agrees to cooperate. Arriving in front of the surveillance van, Ash is confronted by the agents. As he steps inside, he sees Sarah held captive. They beat him, demanding the warehouse address. Dawson points a gun at Sarah, saying she is expendable. Ash, realizing they will kill her, reluctantly gives them the location. During the drive, the van takes a sharp turn. Ash seizes the moment and attacks Dawson. He fights Lee and throws him out of the vehicle. Dawson grapples with him, and they brawl violently. Suddenly, Sarah grabs the taser and shocks Ash. Ash, stunned, demands an explanation. Sarah reveals the truth. She is the leader of the team, sent by Optimo to recover Hoffman's documents. Their real target all along has been Ash. They arrive at the warehouse. Ash leads them to the vault door and tells them to release his restraints so he can reach the lock. They comply. He deliberately enters the wrong password 3 times, triggering a failsafe. The warehouse fills with smoke and alarms. In the chaos, Ash escapes. Inside the vast warehouse, he hides as the agents search. He ambushes Ryan, takes his gun, and flees. The others chase him, firing shots. He crashes into a car but forces himself up and keeps running, shooting back as he climbs over a fence. The van cuts him off, so he hides in a pile of garbage. Rossetti spots him and alerts the others. Ash sprints into the grass and circles back toward the warehouse along the riverside. As he moves through the shadows, Sarah suddenly appears, pointing a gun at him. She demands the code, promising to let him go if he complies. Ash refuses. She threatens to shoot, but he throws down his weapon and dares her to pull the trigger. Before she can act, police flood the area. Wash, who is a detective, steps out of the car. Officers surround the agents. Sarah, Dawson, and Ryan are arrested, while Rossetti manages to escape. Wash approaches Ash and he confesses everything. He tells her about Optimo's file and promises to turn it over to her, the only person he trusts. Ash and Sarah exchange one final look before she is taken away. Ash, now free, collects his package. He opens the money bag, finds the hidden tracker, and discards it. He donates most of the cash to the Tri-State Relay Service, keeping only a small portion. Boarding a train, he notices a passenger reading a newspaper article about Optimo's crimes. For the first time, Ash feels a sense of satisfaction. His efforts have finally brought justice. Well, that's the end of this story. Did you enjoy this recap? Share your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for more stories like this.